Alright lads, so we are now officially done week 2 of the new Very Hard Guild Quest edition. This upcoming week we are about to tackle Quincy and Stun Ritters. This time we want to bring ranged characters for the first phase, and then the second phase we're up against Arrancars where we're inclined to bring melee characters. Now I will say, it's kind of annoying and kind of evil with this. We have just simply been getting like worse weeks back to back to back. I mean, last week we had the Range Squad 0, then the Melee Espada, and now we're going to another quite difficult week if you don't have certain selected characters. And right now we're going against another week where there isn't that many options of characters to use against this quest, and if you are missing a select few characters, it is going to be on the more tough side. Luckily though, the second phase is going to be on the more easier side for the most part, because in this case we're going against Arrancars. We want to bring melee characters. There is a plethora of characters that you can bring here to easily tackle this quest, and this for the most part, especially for those that have been playing this game for quite some time, really shouldn't be much of a struggle. So with that said then, let's have a look at options, and as you can see here, there isn't that many. We don't even have enough characters to fill out 2 rows, which is absolutely ridiculous. Again, I don't think they should have split up the ranged and melee characters. I realistically think they all should have been used in one. It's only a time issue right now as we do go by in the months leading into 2024, going into 2024, and onwards. It will of course get a lot easier since we will be getting more additions to these particular Guild Quest weeks. One addition actually is coming out tomorrow, that of course being the new Halloween Toshiro. Now Toshiro, despite a massive oversight, his SA3 still might be the best lead for this upcoming Guild Quest with the way he does work. For those that don't know, he has the Trap SA3 that has a very high chance of inflicting freeze, stopping the enemies in place for upwards to 7 seconds, giving him an SP boost so he therefore does more damage. Toshiro in of itself does have quite a high damage output, and then he also does have the Barrage SA2, which, you know, in combination with the fact the enemies are frozen, might do a lot of damage. And despite his SA3 doing no damage since it is a melee attack, he might still be a good lead for this upcoming Guild Quest. That again is yet to be seen. We have to see how he does play when he releases. We can't say for confidence, right, that he's going to be really good or really bad, because we've never had a character like this that, you know, has basically no damage on SA3. It's a weird one. He's a weird character, but even with that, again, there's not many other better options if we're looking at our characters here, right? Now, one of our better leads going into this is going to be Balgo. He recently did just return, and again, they kind of positioned it perfectly with the banner re-release. You know, last week, Macy and also Bruno were like the go-to characters, and then now Balgo is basically like one of the go-to characters. I still don't think he's going to be as good as Macy and also Bruno as a lead character, but again, when it comes to Guild Quest, the Range Quincy Guild Quest, there isn't really that many other options. Now, Balgo in of itself does have a pretty good damage output thanks to his, you know, Frenzy +1, Spiritual Pressure boost when you do inflict a stats ailment. He has an increased chance to inflict stats against at least heart enemies, and he does have a 40% strong attack damage increase. It's serviceable. Is it going to be enough to get through this quest? I'm not really too sure. One good thing about Balgo though is that his summon actually does hit quite hard since he does have bombardment, so there's a decent chance if you have this character duped out, you know, when you decide to use your soul bomb, maybe on the heart boss, you are going to do a lot of damage on your soul bomb to potentially clear that particular boss a lot faster. Additionally, one good thing about him, which I guess we're seeing a bit more value on, is the revived soul bombs. As we know, Guild Quest, one of the things that can be quite tough is having good crowd control. If there's not good enough characters in your particular team to keep your team alive, to stop you from getting here or protecting you, there's a good chance your team's going to die and you're not going to be able to beat the quest. In this case though, Balgo does have the revive soul bomb, so if your teammates do die after you decide to use your soul bomb, they are therefore going to revive at 50% stamina, which might help you just manage to beat this particular quest. So as of right now, for most players that have Balgo, he will be the best lead. Potentially might still be the best lead in competition with Toshiro, but again, right now we have no idea how Toshiro is going to play. But yeah, they're for the most part going to be your 2 best options. Other than that, again, there's not really anyone else to use. I mean, you know, any other character here, I don't know if I recommend using as a main. And Balgo in of itself isn't really going to even be the best main himself, right? We really are limited on the number of characters that we can bring here, and most of them aren't really anything super crazy. I will say though, one character that's going to be a must-have for most teams is going to be this Ritter. She is a ranged normal attack damage character, a premium character that's been out for quite some time. You might have her duped out, Transcended. She was on, I believe, maybe 7th anniversary or 6th anniversary banner. It was one of the anniversary banners she was on, and I myself have her max Transcended, right? Now in her case, her damage output, it's respectable. 65% normal attack damage with flurry +1. She's a ranged character, so she is going to keep herself armed. She can apply weakening and over attacks. Overall, Ritter is going to be a really good character to have because she is going to be your only nice character to use here. If you want to go for this quest relatively fast, having someone like Balgo or Tosha as your main or any other character as your main, maybe you can afford to bring a non-Quincy killer, a non-stun Ritter killer for crowd control, and then basically rely on Ritter doing most of the damage. As important as a main character is, night characters, side characters are also equally important, and she's going to be one of the better characters to use for this particular guild quest. And unfortunately, again, there's not really any like replacements for her because every other character here is an SP character. And some of them are on the older side, you know, Ginjo, Soden Shirayuki, Zapro, their damage output, strong attacks are on the lower end, not really going to do anything super crazy here. Akon, this particular Jushiro, maybe Toshiro, Orihime, they'll be decent size, but nothing super crazy. One good side, to a certain extent, will be this particular Yoruichi. She herself does have a Quincy killer. Her damage output isn't anything super high, but again, that doesn't really matter. She is mainly here for the boost SA2. Her SA2 is a boost attack with a heal move, so that can give you that extra bit of safety. Unfortunately, not a barrier. Barriers would have been more ideal here. But if you can somehow make it so your characters aren't getting damaged, having Yoruichi wouldn't be too bad because she is going to at least do some damage on her strong attacks, mainly and realistically only her SA3. But because she does have booster and also enhancer, she's providing your team with a 43% attack, focus, and defense increase for upwards to 20 seconds. That's really good, especially when paired with someone like the Quincy killer Arrancar. Alongside that, it might come in handy. She can actually inflict paralysis, so therefore that might allow you to, you know, cheese a couple seconds out of a boss, stop them from damaging you. She should be a decent side, but again, might be better to bring someone that has a booster or a boost SA2 with barriers, for example. I will definitely try using her in my team, but I'm not too confident about her. Because sure, she is healing our team and giving us that more damage, but if my teammates are taking damage and dying, she's not really helping out that much. So I might actually instead opt to bring someone like Orihime if you have her. As always, she's like a great character for this quest. If not, Aizen and also Jushiro are going to be good side characters, not to really do damage, but they are going to be providing your team with the boost and also barrier. And that might allow your team to stay alive, maybe stay at full stamina, and of course, as always, do more damage back. Orihime, as always, is going to be more ideal here since she does have paralysis, she has the boost, and multi-barrier, and also can give your entire team complete stat immunity. So right now, from the looks of it, the best team that you could potentially bring is going to be a Balgo or Toshiro main. Ritter as a side, she could be the best night character for this week, and then a boost SA3 that could be made Orihime, Faust in your Blood War Aizen, Spirit Arthur with you Jushiro, or of course, this particular Christmas Yoruichi. Again, as already stated multiple times, not many good options here, not many options to begin with at all, so if you can't beat it, it's perfectly understandable. Moving on though, let's have a look at phase 2. In this case, we are now up against melee Arrancars. We want to bring melee characters, and in this case, it's going to be a significantly easier quest to tackle since there are significantly more characters to bring here. Now, one character I do want to highlight, I'm very curious to see how they are going to perform, is this particular Mayuri. Of course, we do know his solo hits ridiculously hard, right? It also does apply weakened defense. You can maybe stack that with double weakened defense and allow your team to clear one boss significantly faster when compared to the other bosses. In addition to that, his SA3 is a trap effect. He's a mini character, so it will be doing damage. And it also, most importantly, can apply both paralysis and also poison. This will trap the enemy in place, give you the SP boost, and allow your two side characters to do damage. At the same time, again, trap effects do also get rid of status element pulls, so if your character isn't immune to this particular status element, which I believe is freeze, you should still have a somewhat easy time because you can basically remove those pulls on the floor with this SA3. I unfortunately don't have him, but I do have him on my side account, and I will definitely be testing him out. I'm curious to see how he is going to perform. He might be a good lead, might be an interesting lead, and I'm looking forward to trying him out. Of course, another great main or side character, depending on how you want to use him, is Kyogei. As we know, tracking vortex characters have significantly more value in this particular quest, and Kyogei has exactly that. But alongside that, Kyogei just has a really high damage output. He's immune to freeze too. Most importantly, his strong attack damage is super high. Frenzy +2 with the rampage skill, which you're definitely going to build up with your strong attacks, damage to drained enemies, tracking vortex SA2, and he also does get the spiritual pressure boost too. Kyogei going to be a great character character in Guild Quest, either as a main or a side. Ultimately comes down to what you want to do with him. Uryu should also be a pretty good main character, as we do know gauge characters are really powerful in this Guild Quest. And Uryu is someone that I'm looking forward to trying with, because he's been a character that I've never actually really used in Guild Quest as a main character. Once more, could benefit as a side, could benefit as a main. I would say more so a main character, since he himself isn't immune to status limits, so using him as a main means you can stand wherever you want to, right? But in his case, since he does have the gauge effect, you know, you're going to get that high damage output for 10 seconds. You're constantly going to be applying weakening and also drain. And of course, when you do defeat a stage, the gauge itself stops, but your strong attacks are still counting down. So you get to spam more strong attacks more often when compared to other characters. And then his sword bomb also is a debuff move, which also has seen more value in this Guild Quest, since you are spending more time on one particular boss. The debuff is going to allow your team to do 80% more damage, only against one boss that you do use it against. So it's going to make it so you can get through one boss in particular super fast. So yeah, once more, going to be another pretty good main character or side, depending on how you want to use it. Those are the main characters that I would suggest using as a main. Of course, you have some other options too, you know, 1000 Year Blood War Round 6 in Ichigo, Grimjow, for example, 1000 Year Blood War Rukia, 5th Anniversary Ichigo, probably to a lesser extent with him though, but you can definitely get away using them as mains, assuming your sides are also good enough. But who exactly are going to be the best sides here? Well, one great character to provide that extra bit of support, if you know your characters are going to get damaged because you can't provide good enough crowd control with a Vortex, for example, this range is actually going to be pretty good here. His damage output is respectable. It actually is quite high, assuming he is at full stamina. He is immune to freeze. He does more damage in Guild Quest, but most importantly, he does have a boost and barrier SA2 with the multi-barrier skill. So you're running your team with 33% extra stats, attack, focus, and defense, but also with the +5 barrier for himself, +3 barrier for your teammates. That might give you the extra bit of survivability to tackle this particular quest, have an easy time going through it. Definitely worth bringing if you do have him. Giriko would be a decent substitute here, not nearly as much high damage output, but basically serves the same point here with an SA2 multi-barrier and also boost effects. I personally wouldn't bring him over Renji, but if you have like no other better booster or barrier character, Giriko does serve a purpose with that. A character that of course saw significantly more value with her resurrection, even more so now with this very hard Guild Quest, is 1000 Year Blood War Soifon. In her case, she might actually be the best booster for this particular quest, assuming and you know if your teammates aren't going to be taking any damage, right? She doesn't provide any barriers, but she does provide the best boost. With her resurrection, she now has more damage, especially when at full stamina, but she's also now immune to freeze, making it easier for you to tackle this particular quest. And her SA2 does Transformer, allows her to do more damage, provides a vortex around her for some extra crowd control, but it is a booster boost thanks to the fact that she does have the booster skill. This therefore means you're giving your entire team 43% attack, focus, and extra defense, which therefore will allow you to do more damage. Definitely going to be the most optimal booster if you know your team won't be taking any damage. Other than that though, if we look at some normal attack damage characters, there's actually a really good one that's been out for quite some time, being Neliel. She is probably going to be my go-to damage dealer. In her case, she's one of the first few characters designed for Guild Quest that came around 2 or so years ago, but she's immune to freeze. She does more damage in Guild Quest. Her damage output isn't as high compared to newer characters, but it's still high enough for you to definitely use her. And considering the fact that she's been out for a few years now, if you've been playing the game for a few years, you might have this character transcended. I know I do, and I definitely will be bringing it into this particular quest. Gonna be a really good damage dealer for just no attack damage. Definitely worth bringing if you do have her, especially if you do have her transcended. Kaname is a very similar character, if not better, but he is more newer, so you might not have the character, you might have him duped out, but a character that can definitely get the job done thanks to the fact that he is immune to freeze. He can apply weakening, he has a higher damage output, and again also does more damage in Guild Quest. Also does have a start barrier +10, so he has that extra bit of safety for the first 10 hits. That does wear off after 20 seconds, but again, a good premium option to tackle this particular week if you do need that extra normal attack damage support. Shurin is a more limited character, someone that I don't even own, but very similar in nature. Again, just a normal attack damage character, definitely worth using if you have no other better option. But considering his limitedness being a movie character, also having a lower damage output compared to the character that I just talked about, he's not going to be the most ideal character, but definitely someone that you might want to bring. And those, at least to me, are some of the standout characters. They're definitely the ones that are worth talking about, worth bringing. Other than that, I mean, I didn't really mention, but you know, Spirits, Arth, Overview, Yoruichi, Shinji too, they're characters that are worth bringing. I don't think they're optimal, but you can potentially get a usage out of them, right? It really depends on how you want to set up your team. Me personally, the way I'm seeing it is as a main, you want to either bring Uryu, Kyogei, or Mayuri. As a main normal attack damage DPS character, you want to bring either Kaname or Neliel. And then for your boost character, New Year's Renji, or Giriko for the boost and also barrier. But if you know your team isn't going to take damage, if you know you can provide that crowd control, then Soifon's also going to be really good here and a really good booster character. But with that said, lads, that was the video for today, going over the upcoming week of Guild Quest. Phase 1, Range, Quincy, and Ritter, and then Phase 2, merely Arrancar. Phase 1 is definitely going to be on the more difficult side, given the limited number of characters you can bring to the quest, but Phase 2 should be a lot more breath of fresh air, a lot more easier, and even experimental considering how many characters we actually can bring. Again, as always, I will be live when the Very Hard Guild Quest does drop at 4 p.m. tomorrow, at least for me in the UK. So hope to see you lads there. I'm also curious to see what team you lads plan to bring, so let me know in the comments below. With that said, hope you lads enjoyed it. I'll see you lads next time. Take care and peace.